All right, guys, welcome to our semi-new kind of setup over here at the Heroic Husband. We moved, everybody. We moved. And hopefully later in the future into a studio. But we make these videos raw and straight to the point just because I want to make sure that you guys get all the information as much as possible to save your marriage and really make sure that you don't have to go through the heartbreak that a lot of people go through. Now, one topic that has been coming up, and I feel it's very near and dear to my heart, is a trap that most men face, whether it comes with life, whether it comes with their job, whether it comes with their marriage. And in today's video, we're going to go over the number one trap that most men fall for. And then if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you ways to free yourself from that trap so that you can keep moving forward and you don't get stuck. Okay, now let me move myself over here. There you go. Let's put this right there. Okay, so here's what I see too often. Men just get complacent. When they first get hit with problems, they freak out. They lose their edge, and they become a shell of their former selves. You would be surprised how some of the highest level CEOs, some of the most successful men that I've seen with multiple businesses, pilots, they're in charge of whole districts. They are what you would call successful. They're killing it in their job. They're killing it at work. They're killing it in their business. You'd be surprised how they really do become a former shell of themselves when they get hit with complacency. And then certain things become stagnant. Or their wife comes to them and says, I don't love you anymore. I never cared about you. For years, I've felt this way. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So on and so forth. Or especially if your wife is hitting you with hard pushback to everything and just wants to streamline and pile on divorce. Now, this is really an issue because when it comes to high achievers, when it comes to men that are kicking ass and taking names, when it comes to men in general, being a man is an amazing thing. Okay. What most people forget, though, is that being a man is a way of life. Now, for thousands of years, men have always pushed themselves to the highest degree. That's why we have the apprentice, journeyman, and master levels. And you see that anywhere from the military, you see that from labor jobs, you even see that in the IT world, right? You get your junior level certs, your associate level certs, your journeyman level certs, and then your professional, and then higher level engineer level certs. It's everywhere. This has been this way for thousands of years because men have always worked towards striving for a goal. However, it's very recently that men kind of have fallen to the wayside, and men have allowed themselves to get complacent, get overweight, stop dating their wives, stop grooming themselves, stop taking care of how they look. They're okay with just coming home and plopping down on the couch. And so they really do lose their edge and they do become a former shell of themselves. Because if you went back and looked at yourself at the age of 22, 23, and they saw you right now, you think they'd be happy? If you were in your marriage, right, however long you've been, and your old self and your wife saw you and your wife now, do you think they would believe that things ended up the way that they did? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't at all. And so the worst part is when you get into this type of mentality, right? When you get into this husk of your former self. By the way, before I continue, I'm going to warn you. This video is only for men who want to change. People who want to change. I can't go into your brain, crack open your skull, like Hannibal Lecter, do some work in there and transform you. You have to want to do this yourself because it comes from inside of you. It's your intrinsic process, okay? It's not an external motivator because that type of motivation is fleeting. It has to genuinely come from within inside of you. You have to have that drive, that fire. This is at a DNA level software programming that you have to be okay with changing and know that something's off. Otherwise, if you just allow things to kind of go as they're going, it's not going to end up good. So the worst thing that can happen when you get into this kind of self-defeating cycle is that you get super cynical and say, F my wife, she's crazy. Or you try to struggle with it, you freak out, you beg, you plead, you do all the things you're not supposed to do, and you destroy safety and security in your marriage. Craziest part is, of course, women marry for love, but that love comes from a deep-seated root of safety and security. Now, this goes back to our sapien days. This goes back to our tribalistic days. Men require status. That's why you'll see all these men who are super cynical focus on all the status symbols. The money, the car, the furniture. It's like, no, that's you. You're looking at through a cynical lens when you need to take a step back and you need to stop reacting. Okay? You need to be responsive. So the difference between the two is reacting is an emotional event happens and then you respond, you act accordingly. Being responsive is you take a step back when that event happens. You take 3 seconds to breathe and think, what's going on here? Where did I drop the ball as a leader, as a man? Where can I improve? What's really going on? How is my wife really feeling? Embody her. Understand her perspective. Don't let your ego get in the way and get fragile because you're some high-value man or whatever. You'd be surprised. Then you act accordingly in a logical manner. And if that means meeting her at a strategically emotional spot so that you can connect with her and really allow something to take place and learn, listen, and provide that safety, well, then there you go. You just did something that's amazing. Now, if you don't, you're going to fall into the worst trap of all, which is deep complacency. Okay? It's genuinely where even if you say F off to your wife, to the people around you, they're crazy, and you start begging, pleading, and freaking out and trying to be emotional with everything, well, you get a sense of self-satisfaction, especially when you're accompanied by unawareness of the actual dangers and deficiencies. When you turn a willfully blind eye, that is the worst trap that you can ever do. When you are always striving to be the best that you can be, you're not growing, you're actually shrinking. Instead of being progressive, not in the political sense, right? Not in the hooey-dooey snowflake sense nowadays, but in the genuine that you are trying to be the best man that you can be. You're trying to reach a high level of self-actualization. Go look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're trying to reach this high level of yourself and truly become a high-value male without a fragile ego who's a leader and can be open to criticism and learn and adapt and move and groove. It really speaks volume on how turning a blind eye to yourself and your deficiencies or the dangers that are being caused really affect things, right? And this is worst of all because you think you're doing the right thing. You think things are going okay. You think things are doing well. But really, it's still a ticking time bomb. Your life, your marriage, it's still a kind of wait and see. You're still creating a duplicitous nature, a duality of how you really want things to go versus how you're putting on a face for things. And people around you know, especially your wife. And you, worst of all, know. Even if you decide that you don't want to pay attention to it. Now, you think things are going on an upward trajectory, but they're really not. If anything, they're stagnant and they're slowly creeping down. Now, you need to open your eyes and you need to see the truth, which is hard for most men to hear. And it's very interesting because we all have egos, of course. But when it comes to something so precious as your life, your success, especially your marriage and your kids, you need to put your ego to the side. The best leader knows how to become the best follower. The best leader is open to criticism, is open to stepping back, seeing what's going on. Some of the highest CEOs, business owners that I know, they always ask people's opinions. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, I heard about this, about AI. I heard about whatever. What do you think about that? Hey, I was thinking about making this kind of a move. Here's the situation. Well, what do you think about that? They're always ready to learn. They're always open. Hey, I just made that speech. I just did that thing. You think I went wrong anywhere? I wasn't too sure about this part. What do you think? You want to be open to that criticism because complacency is you just being stagnant. And a rolling stone grows no moss. We don't want to be stagnant in life. You not progressing is you being close to death. When you die, that's when you finally, on a holistic level, stop moving. Even right now, your body is always constantly trying to reach equilibrium. And the only time it does that is when you finally stop moving. And life is all about growth. That's the beauty of it. That's what allows us to move forward. That's what allows us to be human. So you need to open your eyes and realize the truth and be hypercritical of yourself when you're being complacent. Honestly, if you're trying to save your marriage, get a better job, or achieve more success, complacency doesn't allow you to grow and become a Renaissance man. This is the highest form of heroic husbandry that you can be. We're always trying to achieve a sense of self-actualization, which means that you want to be the best that you can possibly be. So, what are some signs, right? So you can see this for yourself. I see these all the time. And when I see these, especially in our private coaching, I'm like, red flag alert. Hey, no, stop. Check yourself. Check how you're thinking. You stop dating your wife. This is an early warning sign because you're like, oh, the kids, it's kind of hard. Oh, she's not talking to me. She doesn't want to talk. She's kind of pushing back. It's okay. Things will blow over. Oh, I'm just busy at work, especially if you pull up to the house and you sit in your car just a little bit longer. You're like, oh, I want to listen to a podcast a little bit longer. This is this last song. When really, you just don't want to go in the home. You go to work, no problem. You stay at work sometimes even late. You work on your business. You work on stuff that you say is going to be for your family, but really for you. And you're not stepping outside of your comfort zone and growing yourself. Another sign is when communication becomes minimal and surface level with no depth. Over here at the Heroic Husband, in the book and the coaching program, layers to this. We have the emotional layer process, right? So we can take it deep. Because most of the stuff out there just treats surface level stuff. And that's not what I want you to focus on the whys in a conversation with your wife. Why does she want to do this? Why does it make her feel that way? How does it make her feel? Why is she thinking like that? You want to really connect with her and go deep. You want to form that bond. And when you actually connect with your wife, she feels heard and she feels valued and she feels like you get it, you understand. If your wife is pushing back and she's not even talking to you, that means that she doesn't believe you are ever going to connect with her. But if you show her opposite, you'd be surprised how it's a breath of fresh air. Now, if you just sit back and you think everything you're doing is good, that's not going to last very long. Resentment grows. the bleeding continues. Now, if you prioritize your comfort over growth, right? This is when things are hard, you kind of just throw up your hands, kind of let it go by. You always want to be growing. You always want to be striving. You want to be the best that you can be as a man. I don't care what situation you're in. If there's infidelity in your marriage, if you had infidelity, if she has infidelity, if you have anger issues, this is a big one because anger really hurts women to like the umpteenth degree because you're supposed to be the protector. And now when you do anything out of an angry response, especially over years, well, now she's in an amygdala response and you become a threat. So imagine living like that in your own home. That's horrible. And that's because what you think you're doing is fine. But you have to be honest with yourself. You need to grow. The next one is assume your wife is always going to be there. There's this weird notion of unconditional love, and the only people that can love you unconditionally is your mother and God, if that's the deity you prescribe to, okay? Those are the true sense of unconditional love. You don't want that. You want to earn that love. Things are better earned. Now, if you are complacent, and I always talk about this, I talk about not cheapening your words, but you're cheapening your words. You'll hear people do this all the time with I'm sorry, I apologize. If you say it so much, people get conditioned for it. For instance, if you have a pizza party every single Friday, people are going to it's going to take 3 times. And after twice, people are going to be like, oh, okay. The third time, people are going to be like, I'm tired of pizza. Fourth time, forget it. No one's going to appreciate it. So don't cheapen your words and don't cheapen your love that way. When you say I love you, when you do an act of love, it has to be out of genuine, and it has to have some weight behind it. And if you assume your wife is always going to be there, it creates a tit for tat type of nature. I'm going to do this so I can get from my wife. And it creates like a really pervasive, needy nature, not you leading in the relationship, embracing your masculinity. And that leads into the last one. You neglect your leadership role, plain and simple. Now, what can you do? Well, first, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you going to step up? Are you going to step outside of your comfort zone? Are you going to take extreme ownership? I'm big on extreme ownership because it doesn't matter if it's right. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So when she throws something at you, when life throws something at you, if you take it and you own it, you can process that energy and turn it into a positive. Next, you have to focus on wanting for her, not from her. I learned this in marketing. I learned this in life. People have a natural reciprocity effect. If you want for them, okay, not from them, they're going to feel that altruistic motivator behind it, especially if it's an intrinsic motivator, and people are going to really feel it. You can always feel when someone kind of does something out of they want something from you. Like if you are going through a divorce or you are going through hard times like a separation, and this doesn't just have to do with your marriage, this is everything, right? If you do something and you're looking to get something from your wife, like you say, oh, I love you, and you want an I love you back because it's going to make you feel good and it's just going to make her annoyed and she's not going to mean it. Well, that creates neediness. You need it. You need it. You need it. Who does that serve? That doesn't serve anybody besides yourself, out of a selfish nature. And that's wanting from her, not for her. Not thinking, what can I do to help my wife grow, to create a sense of loving and belonging, to help build up her self-esteem, to help her reach a level of self-actualization. Because for you to do that for her, you first have to do that for yourself. Next is you're going to have to lead and take a 3-step emotional layering to this. We have the 3-step ELM method, right? Healing, shifting, and bonding. But you kind of get it there. You need to heal what's going on. You need to shift, transform yourself and transform the bad to good. And you need to create that loving and that sense of bonding and connection. Next, you need to become a Renaissance man. And that's how you spark true, genuine desire. That's how you become irreplaceable. You need to become holistic, right? You don't need to just specialize in one thing. You need to be like the men of old. When I was pre-med, I spoke to a professor of mine who was a JD MD, and he told me that doctors of the past, and this isn't just doctors, this is men of the past. This is why we have the journeyman, apprentice, journeyman, master level. This is really cool. Well, doctors especially, because I was pre-med, right? They didn't just study science. They studied philosophy. They studied theology. They studied ethics. Then they studied geography. They studied how to debate. They knew how to be charismatic. They studied politics. They studied a holistic, broad sense to make them well-rounded, okay? People always say the term, a jack of all trades is, A jack of all trades is a master of none. Now, what they don't say is the full phrase, which is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. There we go. Had to Google it. Wanted to get it right for you guys. Now, that's important because you need to be well-rounded. You want to be a jack of all trades. Think of a circle and think of the momentum a circle can have. If you just specialize in one thing, well, it's literally stopping you. You're not well-rounded, and people over-compartmentalize themselves. And when you become a Renaissance man, you genuinely spark that desire in ways that your wife can't even imagine. You start fulfilling those other needs that she has, the deeper needs, not just being there, not just making the money, not just the house, not just the kids, but she's a human being too, okay? And complacency is kind of sticky. It leaches out. And the biggest way for you to stop that complacency and that trap is you got to rewire your identity to become a heroic husband, become a heroic man. Keep pushing yourself. Keep striving for more, while also not being overly stoic, okay? That's just too much. Men like to create that stone wall. No. You need to be compassionate. You need to have that compassion for others, that benevolence. That is important. That is what really transforms, while also striving to be the best that you can be and reach self-actualization. So I hope that really clarified a lot of things for you guys. And I really want you to take that to heart because it is extremely late. Hey guys, Noah Allen here, and thank you so much for watching this video. Now, if you found anything thought-provoking, if you like this video and got any information away from it that you can actually just kind of ponder over and it'll help your situation, please like and comment down below. It really helps a small channel like us, especially because all we care about is lowering that divorce percentage by at least 1%, right? We're shooting for more, and we think 50%, 60%, 75% for first, second, and third marriages is just way too high. Now, like I said, if you thought anything was useful in this video, please like, comment down below, ring that notification bell, and if you haven't already, pick up the Heroic Husband book, and hopefully you gain something out of that so that you can save your marriage just like the other hundreds and thousands of men that we've already helped with the book. We are a small channel. We do have a big mission, and we do want to make sure that we get in front of as many men that are struggling through this time. I went through it, and I don't want anyone to go through that pain. So again, if you liked anything in this video, like, comment, ring that notification bell, subscribe, maybe pick up the book, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.